Hey guys, welcome to episode 4 of Marky in the Mix, the podcast in which I'm still trying to find a intro for and still trying to develop the setup. Honestly, trying to make a podcast setup is so much harder than I thought it would be. It's actually crazy trying to like move everything around, set up the table, set up the mic, just trying to sort out everything. But I feel like this is okay. I want to try and rearrange some things and um, make it more visually pleasing to those of you who are watching this podcast on YouTube. Um, Also, you do have some upgrades to the studio, if you will. We have a new mic. I bought a new mic today and a new camera. So hopefully everything should sound and look so much better than if I was like still recording on my phone. But yeah, so I am yet again by myself for this episode. I didn't have any guests booked for this episode, solely because of different scheduling and stuff like that. But we do have some guests that will be coming on in the future, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, it's just me by myself. So I thought I would talk to you about what's going on in my life right now, because everyone wants to know what's going on in my life. It's such a lie as well. Um, yeah, so what am I doing in my life after my brat summer, if you will? Um, the first thing I wanted to talk to you guys about actually was that I'm doing driving lessons. I am learning to drive, something which I should have started about 5 years ago, but I don't know, I put off learning to drive for so long, it's insane. I don't know why I put it off for so long, I just did, but yeah, I'm learning to drive. I do lessons maybe I've only done 3 lessons actually. I did my first lesson last year, and then for some reason just put it off for so many months. But I started doing driving lessons again about 3 weeks ago, I think it was. So the idea is I book a lesson like once every 2 weeks or once every 3 weeks and just do like the main lessons and then practicing like in between. So I started doing lessons again, and so far haven't crashed, haven't done anything serious. Although I did almost run through a stop sign, which was definitely something. Don't do that. Don't run through stop signs if you can get away with it anyway. Um, but yeah, so that's going quite well actually. I'm not as nervous as I used to be about it. I used to be very nervous about learning to drive, but since I've done 3 lessons, it's a lot easier. I think like my nerves have gone down quite a lot. I used to be, like I said, extremely nervous. Um, but it's actually easy. Driving is actually not that hard. I mean, you do have to like keep a lookout for other drivers and things like that, but learning to drive is a piece of piss. My instructor that I've got is so lovely. His name's Brian. He won't be watching this, but if Brian, if you are watching this, how's it going? Yeah, my instructor's called Brian, and he is so sweet. He is honestly an absolute angel. It was quite funny actually. My last lesson, which I did a few days ago, we so on. I use AA. I use AA to learn to drive, and on the website slash app, you can when you're booking a lesson, you choose like which location you want to book it in. And for the first 2 lessons, we did the lesson in the same area. But for the third lesson, we couldn't book in for like that particular area, so we had to choose a different area. So we chose this different area to book my lesson, and poor Brian went to the other area, and it was so funny because the lesson was meant to start at 1 o'clock, and it was like 1:05, and I was like, "Where's Brian? Brian's usually 10 minutes early for this. He's usually already parked up." And I get a phone call, and he's like, "Oh, hey, how's it going? I'm in the wrong area. I went to our original area, and obviously you're not here because the lesson's been booked for where you are now." It was like I forgot to check through my notes, and I just assumed that you guys would be waiting in the usual area, which we wanted to book in, but obviously we couldn't. And it was so funny. He's like, "I'm so sorry. We'll still do the full hour, but I'll be about 15 minutes late." So me and my boyfriend, have to like wait in the area for an extra 15 minutes for Brian to show up. Um, but anyway, Brian gets in to the area. And yeah, we continue on the driving lesson, but it was so funny. He was so apologetic, but honestly, I mean, he's the only driving instructor I've had, but I'm really happy that I managed to choose him from the get go because he is so sweet. He's so lovely. And he's just so chill. Like, if I like fuck up, he's not like, oh, how dare you do that? You could have killed us all. He's just like, oh, we'll go over that again. We'll try that again. You know, like I did so many U-turns until I got it perfect, and he was like, let's try it again. Um, but yeah, driving is driving is so much fun, and I do regret putting it off for so long because I'm learning to drive at 22, and here you can learn to drive at 16. So I put it off for like 6 years just because I was so scared of doing it. But now I'm actually doing it. It's kind of like one of those things where you're like, why was I so scared? Why was I so scared to learn to drive? But it's actually, I don't know. I almost feel a little bit stupid for putting it off, just because it's not the hardest thing in the world to do. But yeah, so been learning to drive. What else in the world of Marcus can I talk to you guys about without boring you to death? It's quite easy to bore people to death, honestly. Um, yes, actually, now I think about it, I start uni again on Monday. Um, I study creative writing as my major, and then my minor in psychology and Spanish. Um, I actually didn't choose my minors actually until this semester, so and this is going to be my second semester, and I didn't end up choosing my minors whatever until second semester. Solely because first semester with creative writing there are so many core classes that you have to take. Um, so I had to just do a load of like beginner courses. So it wasn't until second semester where I could choose my minors, and I settled on psychology and Spanish, mainly because psychology is what my boyfriend studied, and he really enjoyed it. And I feel like psychology is a subject that really interests me because there's so much to learn within psychology. So I thought that would be a fun one. And I'm also going to learn Spanish solely because it's one of the only languages I actually want to learn. And this is going to sound a bit cheeky, but in third year Spanish, you actually get to go to Spain and teach Spanish children how to speak English, which is something that sounds like a lot of fun. Firstly, because get to go to Spain, which sounds like a lot of fun. And secondly, I used to work with kids. I used to work at an after school program. So I kind of have like that under my belt already. So it'd be quite cool to, like teach children again, but also be in Spain. So yeah, I'm going to be doing psychology and Spanish as my minors. But classes start back up again on Monday. So I need to kind of like prepare myself for that, which will be a lot of fun. I'm very excited to go back to uni because like with uni, it puts me in a schedule. I need to be in a schedule, otherwise I'm either doing nothing or everything, and I burn myself out or just feel lazy. So having my uni schedule start up again is going to help like ease into things. I won't be sleeping until like 1 o'clock in the afternoon every day on my day off. Um, yeah, so I learned to drive, starting uni again. What else? Honestly, because I don't have a guest today, I was pulling at straws about what to talk about. Um, but what else is going on? Um, hmm. I honestly did not think about this, guys. I'm such an amateur. I'm such an amateur podcaster. Like, I've been looking at different podcasts and how everyone else does things, and I know like you shouldn't really compare yourself to others, but I've been listening to a lot more podcasts recently. My favorites being GK Barry's podcast, Saving Grace. Absolutely love that podcast. The Bold and the Beautiful by Trixie and Cartier. Help I Sexted My Boss. The User's Hotline. All of those podcasts are like different. So I've been like listening to like those four into trying to basically study them, see what I like about them, what I don't like about them, and everything I like about them is what I want to try and put it into this podcast. Um, but one thing I need to learn to do better is just planning it. I know people usually, before they start filming, they will write down like a list of topics they want to talk about on like a notepad or whatever, and they'll solely talk about those topics. Whereas I'm completely different. I'm very much more a let's turn on the camera, see what I can talk about. Like, I just talk shit for 30 to 45 minutes. Um, and sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. Like with the podcast with Robbie, we didn't actually plan anything beforehand. We just sat down and chatted shit for an hour. Whereas with the podcast with Nick, I wrote down a list of questions and like topics and stuff like that. So I'm still in the process of trying to figure out what I like and how I would like things to run. And everything is it's a it's a learning process. I think once I start getting into it more, it's going to be so much easier to record. But I'm still camera shy. I'm still very much camera shy, and I don't know. It's definitely it's not. I wouldn't say it's out of my comfort zone, but it is very much a. There's so much to learn. So much to learn, especially with like things like lighting, for example. I'm struggling with the lighting just because at the minute I've got a single ring light, and I do have studio lights, but I don't want to have to set them up for half an hour every week, every fortnight, which I know sounds really lazy, but these are two like massive studio lights that my boyfriend uses, and I struggle to set them up. It is such a struggle to set up those studio lights. You have no idea. Um, but one thing I am looking into, which might make things better, is the uni that I go to, they have study rooms and you can book them out for 2 hours at a time. And what I'm thinking of doing is essentially booking out a room at uni and recording the podcast in there. I think that will make things a lot easier in regards to audio quality because I'm filming in my apartment and I live on a busy street. Sometimes you'll hear like an ambulance drive by, a fire engine, or just hear people like shouting outside. And I can like shut my windows and like pull down the curtains or whatever. And that seems to like block out a lot of the noise, but a lot of the time you can hear, everything that's going on outside. Whereas in the uni rooms, they are like soundproofed. So people outside cannot hear what you're doing inside. And obviously, people inside the room can't hear what everyone's doing outside. So I'm definitely looking into maybe booking out a room there once every 2 weeks to record the podcast. I feel like that would be a lot better in the long run. I think the only thing is we'll be like hauling all of my podcast gear over to uni and doing it that way. I feel like that might get a bit, I won't say uncomfortable, but I've got a lot of stuff. I've got a lot of podcast stuff and it'll get heavy and trying to lug everything around would be a bit of a hassle. But I think in the long run, it would be a lot better to have a certain space to record. And another thing that I need to kind of look into is doing podcasts on Zoom because I do have a couple of guests that I would like to interview and talk to who live in other countries. So I do need to also look into recording podcasts on Zoom. So if anyone knows how to do that or knows of someone that knows how to record podcasts on Zoom, if you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment because I would love to know how to record on Zoom. I know that in the free version, it's like a 40 minutes, like you can only record for 40 minutes at a time, which is fine. But that's all I know. I don't know how to like set up anything else. So if you guys know how to record a podcast on Zoom, let me know. I would much appreciate it. Yeah. So that's that. That's the podcasty stuff. Yeah, let's take a break. Welcome back. I don't know why I didn't think about this before, actually, but I've not told you guys about Pride. I went to Pride this year. I know I mentioned it in episode 2, actually, But Robbie and I both went to Big Gay Out. We're both volunteering there. And oh my word, right. Are you guys sitting comfortably? Pride was so much fun. It was such a fun time. Um, However, I kind of goofed up a little bit. So the night before, I went clubbing because I was like, you know what? It's Pride season. Let's go out the night before Pride, because they had some like Pride events going on. So I went to some Pride events, one of which Robbie was actually working at. Went to some Pride events, and I didn't get drunk, but I drank enough that made me feel so bad the next day. I woke up the day of Pride and I was like, oh gosh, I wish I didn't drink last night. And I know that sounds bad. I genuinely didn't drink that much. But I think what it was the vodka Red Bull I had the night before. I did not get any sleep. I did not sleep at all. And usually caffeine makes me very tired. It just didn't this time. But I woke up the morning of Pride so excited, but feeling like shit. I messaged Robbie because we got an Uber together, and I was like, I did not sleep last night, and I felt like crap. So I took some anti-sickness tablets, and that actually worked. Actually. Took some anti-sickness tablets, had some water, and felt grand. But yeah, we Ubered to Coyle Park, where Pride was being held, the Big Gay Out. Let me tell you, it was such a fun experience. I actually volunteered last year, and that was great. But this year, going with friends enhanced the experience so much. It was so much fun. Um, it was my second time going to Pride as well. So I'm still kind of like new to like the Pride celebrations here. Um, but yeah, we started off. So I got there at about 11:15, and signed into the volunteering tent. And for the first 2 hours, we were like putting up stalls, carrying things, setting up stages, just getting everything ready for when like the celebration started at lunchtime. And I don't know why, because I'm not strong, but every time the leaders were like, "Oh, hey guys, do we have like someone with muscles and like a good pair of hands to like carry some things?" I was always the first one up. I was like, "Heck yeah, sign me up." I don't know what was going through my head, but I am not strong. And I don't know why. I was like, yeah, heck yeah, I'll carry some stuff. I looked like such a prat carrying tables. I was like, can we put it down for a second? Like we had to like carry it from one like side of the park to the other, and I had to constantly put it down and be like, guys, I'm sorry, I'm not this strong. And everyone was just laughing at me, but they were so lovely about it. They were like, oh, it's fine. So that was the first thing, and then the second thing that I had to do was I had to stand at the entrances with like these donation buckets, like shaking them so people could donate to the foundation that was running Big Gay Out, Burn It Foundation actually, um, because it was a free to enter thing. Like you didn't have to pay to go to Big Gay Out. But obviously like we had to stand there with like donation buckets just in case people want to leave a little bit to help like raise for the funds to do it next year. And I love doing it, guys. It's so awesome to see people walk through the gates in different outfits, and like you get to speak to people and like hype people up. And I got to do that for 4 hours. And it sounds like a lot, but actually when you're talking to people and having fun and dancing, for 4 hours, it does not feel like 4 hours. It felt like half an hour. Um, it was so much fun, and so much like I got to see so many drag queens, so many people in the most amazing outfits imaginable. Like some people really ate up. Like they understood the gay assignment. And it was so awesome. Also we had like drag queens there. We had Ketamine doing like a set there. We had House of Givenchy who ate up. They were so good. They were there all day, just like dancing and like hosting competitions, and they were amazing. I got to finish volunteering at 4 o'clock. So like me, Robbie, and our friends, we all just walked around. You know, we got to enjoy like the rest of Big Out. Basically, it was on until 9, so we were just meeting up with friends and exploring things. We did a little bit of shopping. I got some earrings, which look like knives, which are they're so cunt. They are so cool. Yeah, it was very hot though. I did. I was on the verge of getting heat stroke, but so was I last year. You know, it's when you're in an open park all day, like you're gonna get heat stroke. I got burned to death. I've still got a lovely little tan. My arms are completely like tanned up. Pretty sure I just hit the mic. My arms are tanned up. But it was such a great experience, and I'm definitely volunteering again next year. I love doing it. Um, yeah, so if you guys were at Big Gay Out, let me know how you found it. Did you enjoy it? Because it was so good. I keep on thinking about it. And then that night, we went to a techno club, which was an incredible experience for the most part. However, because there were so many people there, it was so hot. Like you just like squash in this like underground like club. Um, but it was so much fun. We got to like stand behind the decks and watch the DJs, and so many of my friends were there. Yeah, it was an amazing time. Yeah, no, I love doing Pride. And the good thing is, obviously, New Zealand do their Pride month in February instead of June because June is winter. So we like to do it in like during summer. Um, yeah, so the weather was stunning. The weather was great. I just had to remind myself to hydrate like every 5 minutes. Otherwise, I would have just passed out in the middle of like a Pride parade or something. But yeah, I love going to Pride. And I've only been twice, obviously. But now this year was so much fun. Um, yeah. So if you guys want to go to Pride next year, let me know because I would love to go with you guys, honestly. Um, yeah, no, it's just I've said it a lot, but it was awesome. It was an amazing experience. Yeah. So that's that on that. Um, I'm also going to another. It's not Pride related, but I'm going to another techno club on Friday, which I actually just realized I've not bought tickets for yet. I need to buy tickets. I need to remind myself because I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure if tickets are still available. I think they are. I'm hoping they are. We'll find out soon. If I don't go on Friday, I'll let you know. Um, but yeah, that was Pride. It was fantastic. And I like the fact that I get to keep the volunteer t-shirts. I'm not wearing it today, obviously, but I got to keep the volunteer t-shirt. So I've got two of them now. One's white, one's purple. They're amazing. Yeah, so that's what I did at the Big Gay Out. Robbie was great. Robbie was like doing like surveys with people, and it was so funny like walking past and like seeing him working. Like, 'cause I finished an hour before he did, so I got to walk past him working, and he was like, running up to people with like clipboards and being like, "Hey, do this survey," um, and it looked like so much fun actually. He was having a great time. Um, yeah, so if you guys want to do the spots survey, I'll leaving a link in the description so you guys can do that. It would really help spots. And it's also just good to, if you like talking about yourself, do the survey. I've already done it, obviously. Um, but yeah, do the spot survey, guys. I love doing these little breaks. Let me guys know what you think about me introducing like breaks in the episodes. Um, I've not obviously done breaks in the first 3 episodes, but I feel like it's nice to have like 10, 15 minutes of talking and then have a quick break so I can like hydrate and stuff like that. I've noticed in like previous episodes, as the episode goes on, my voice gets really dry, which sounds like crap. I think no one wants me to have a dry voice. Now, so I've started introducing breaks. So let me know, guys, what you think about having a couple breaks in the middle of the episodes. Obviously, I don't have any sponsors to talk about yet. If anyone wants to sponsor the podcast, though, let me know. I wouldn't say no to a little cheeky sponsor. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of having a couple breaks in the episode. Trixie and Carter do of the bold and the beautiful, which is great because I'll just pause it, go to the bathroom, get a snack or something. I know I really enjoy listening to the ads as well. They have the funniest ads, um, which is something I'd love to do. If people ever want me to sponsor them, I would love to just do the most crazy out of pocket ads. Yeah, so if any companies want to sponsor me, hit me up on socials. Yeah, this episode's a bit of a short one. Because, like I said, because I'm by myself, I'm like, damn, I am the most boring person on earth. I genuinely am. I genuinely feel like I am so boring. When I'm with other people, though, that's when I'm not boring. That's when I'm not boring. But yeah, I definitely need to start planning things a lot better, like writing topics to talk about, because I just didn't do that today. I was like, damn, I need to record a podcast today. I'll just stick on the camera and hope for the best. Which sometimes works, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys. Just a reminder that, yep, we are on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you guys are listening on those platforms, come over to YouTube, see my amazingly, devilishly handsome face. Tee-hee. God. There's not a day that goes by in which I don't have a voice crack halfway through recording. Yeah, so pop over to YouTube. It's a lot of fun. I prefer watching audio podcasts just because I feel like I'm in the room with other people. But yeah, come over to YouTube if you're listening. It's a great time. Also follow me on Instagram and TikTok. I post little teasers and bits and pieces on there behind the scenes. So definitely check those out if you would like. Links to everything, as per usual, will be in the description below. And I'll see you guys in the next episode with a special guest. We have a guest in the next episode, guys, so stay tuned for that. I'll be leaving little hints and teasers in the Instagram. Yeah, without further ado, see you guys later. Au revoir.